Hi everyone and welcome. We're down here in my wormery, and usually, in most cases, we're just tending to my worm bins, feeding my worm bins, migrating my worms, doing stuff like that. But as some of you might know, another thing that my channel is known for is time-lapse videos showing the activity of the worms over, many weeks or months of elapsed time. And if you've seen some of my time-lapse videos, then you'll recognize some of these containers you see here in the foreground. The container that you see here in front of us is the one that I've used most often in most of my time-lapse videos. It's just an office supply, and it's really just meant to, hold papers. I think it was designed to either be held upright like this, or even maybe be mounted on the wall in such a way that the papers can lie flat within it. And the way we've always used it was, observing the worm activity within the container through this panel over here. Occasionally leaving it very narrow with only this much space within the bin. Sometimes with this broken piece of panel removed, giving us twice as much room. And then, down here on the bottom, there have been times when we've shaped a piece of plastic to, cover the opening here on the bottom this way, or there's been other times when the material was held in place with another more flat piece of material, allowing for just a little bit more space in the container. This container is definitely getting very frosted and very difficult to see through anymore. It's definitely beginning to show its age, as you can see. But it's done really well. I've even gone so far as to build little custom compartments for it. There was one time when I was really interested in dividing the container into 3 separate regions. So I had built this little central compartment, and then I was able to have 3 separate breeds of worms in 3 separate locations within the container, and that worked pretty good. But then I did observe on the Crazy Worm Lady's worm channel that she was running one of these containers right here. Kind of a science experiment type of I think it's meant to be sort of a children's toy or sort of an educational item. It's a really cool container. It's got this nifty little base that's got, images of little bugs and worms in it, and on the far side you can even see that there are magnifying aspects to it so that people can get a closer view of what's happening inside the container. Although I've never opted to use that side of it, I've always shot through this side of it that just has flat plastic. And even here you can see from the container that the bin came in. It's meant to be an educational kind of a toy almost, but we just decided it would be a perfect replacement for what I had fabricated here in terms of a 3-chamber container. So besides giving me this container, the Crazy Worm Lady even donated to me the cocoons that were used to film the worm nursery time-lapse video that was shot in this one when it was in the 3-partition mode. So these containers have done me well over time. And it's not surprising that people have started inquiring about, hey, when's the next time-lapse coming out? So I just wanted to give people a little bit of a sneak preview as to some of the ideas that I've had recently. I mean, I had developed certain little gadgets over here. You're going to see this this crazy contraption here is it's the broken part of a popcorn popper container, and it's attached to, you can see the axle of it hanging down here through the piece of wood. It's the wheels off of a cooler. And then I had run like a belt through a pulley that I had fabricated out of cardboard, attached to another pulley that I fabricated out of little plastic cups to get driven round and around. Well, basically 1 rotation per day. If you don't know what this is similar to this right here. It's one of those on-off timers that turns the object that's plugged into the timer on and off once or twice, or how many ever times per day you've got it set up. So this one is the same thing over here underneath the duct tape and plastic pulley that I fabricated. And then the other stuff you see down here are just a power strip and a piece of wood. So this was my crazy contraption, thinking that if I ran a worm bin in this as a time lapse, we could actually see the activity in here with 1 full rotation of the container occurring daily. Actually, no, that's not true, because 1 rotation of this would result in maybe, I forget what it was, maybe a third of a rotation or about a half of a rotation of this. So this thing would rotate every, 2.5 days. I don't remember what the calculation was, but basically whatever the circumference of this is versus the circumference of this, a certain amount of this material would pass through this pulley, driving this pulley, but causing this one to rotate a little bit more slowly than the one down here. So that was just an idea that didn't really pan out. Each time I would try to run it, this tape just did not hold very well, and it would pull the smaller pulley towards itself and caused the whole thing to be at an angle, which messed up its rotation and everything. Oh, the belt would sort of fly off and stuff like that. So this never really made it into production. It was kind of a proof of concept that didn't really get there, but I like the idea, and I might need to develop a little further one of these days. We'll see where that leads. And then I've even got another one over here that I figured I'd show you guys. This is kind of made up of a number of different things here, but basically it's all these Christmas lights that we've used in the past to illuminate our scene. And here you have the actual camera that I use for a lot of my time-lapse shooting. It's an old Nikon digital SLR, which it's got a lot of miles on it. It's been taking lots and lots of cool photographs for us, which get stacked together into time-lapse videos. But the reason I had assembled this way was that I had hoped to not shoot a worm video in this one. My idea for this one was to actually shoot a video featuring black soldier flies. And if you're familiar with black soldier flies will not only eat the sort of things that our composting worms eat, vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, but they'll pretty rapidly also consume, flesh, meat, stuff like that. So I kind of figured if I can at some point lay my hands on some sort of a piece of roadkill or some sort of a dead squirrel or rabbit or something, then it would go in here, and then we'd cut a whole bunch of black soldier flies loose on it, and then the camera would film the activity over a few days to watch that cadaver of a creature get consumed by the black soldier flies. But this is another kind of failed attempt that never really came to fruition, so that's that. What can I say? Not everything makes it. But I figured I'd also really quickly give everyone a brief, quick sneak preview as to what I've got in mind for my next video. So I went up on Craigslist recently, and somebody was giving these things away. It's very similar to what you see over here, the original container. It's just it's a file hanger sort of thing. It's meant to hang on the wall and hold papers, pieces of paper in it. And I've actually got 3 of these things. The person was giving away 6 of them, so I took half of what they had. And my idea was to use this as the platform for our next time-lapse video. Nice and clear, nice and clean, brand new. And I guess one of the ideas that I had was possibly setting up a kind of a demonstration of how worms will migrate out of finished castings into a new feeding area, illustrating for us what the horizontal migration process looks like. The horizontal migration process, if you don't know, is a process that a lot of us use to get the worms to move out of finished castings on their own by setting up a section of the bin that's really meant to attract the worms over out of the finished compost. And I thought that if I were to load this thing up with some already finished compost on one side and kind of a freshly built feeding zone on the other side, we'd get to use the magic of time-lapse to observe them making their way out of the finished compost and over into the feeding area and see what that looks like. So that's my idea for my next time-lapse. I could change my mind between now and then, so it's not guaranteed. But I figured I would just come down here with the camera really quick and give everyone a quick glimpse into the crazy world of doing time-lapses in the AV time-lapse studio. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really hope you did. If you did, then, as always, please remember to give me a thumbs up. That's always really appreciated. And also consider subscribing to the channel too. That's always really appreciated as well. Alright everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.